Hey everybody, welcome back. Today I've got a new power station for you. This is the OKPRO portable 200 watt power station. Alright everybody, welcome back. Now normally I'm reviewing power stations that are 300 to 500 watts to more. This one I decided to take a look at today because I know there's some demand for a little bit smaller power station. If you're living in, say, a tiny home, a smaller apartment, you really can't have a big, huge setup with a ton of solar panels in your front window. So for an emergency backup system, something a little smaller might fit the bill for you. And this is definitely that. It's not a huge system. The product measurements are about 4.9 inches by 4.9 inches this way, by about 6.69 inches tall, weighs about 6.5 pounds about. So it's a fairly dense, heavy object. We're going to go over some of the things on top there. It uses a battery management system, which I really like on these little chargers, because it tends to keep the batteries healthier longer. You're going to run these down, and the battery management system will be able to kind of keep things safe on there. It will extend the service life, and you also will have your short circuit protection, your overcurrent protection, overload protection, and overheating protection. And you do also have a fan on the back that will run automatically when you need it to. I gotta say, this thing's very well built. You know, everything's metal. There's no plastic on here except for the light ring. It's a fairly heavy, well-built object, so the price is going to reflect that. This is very well made. These run about $255, so they are not super cheap, but comparisons to others on the market makes them a fairly affordable, very nice looking little item. I gotta say, it's a nice looking little item. So, one of the coolest features on this, if you so desire it, is a light. You don't even need to turn it on to use the light. You're just going to hit this button up top here, which has a little light symbol on it. And as you can tell by the fingerprints on there, I have been doing just that. And there you go. Now this will rotate through a bunch of colors if you want it to do that. But when you find a color you like, you just hit it again and it holds it. So if you want it just white, you can hit it again and turn it just white. You can just hold it right there wherever you want it, and you'll get the color you want. Now, again, with all the bright lights in here, it's not very, it doesn't seem very bright, but it is a very, very bright little system. If you have this, say, in a window somewhere, you could not only use this to light up your immediate area, but also to signal in case you needed rescue or emergency or anything like that. It does go all the way around. So that's kind of a handy little thing too. It doesn't have a flasher in it or anything like that, or an SOS strobe. But if you're in a high-rise building, say, and again, I always go back to thinking about living in Manhattan in high-rise buildings, you can have a light in your window that shows that, hey, somebody's there, somebody might need help. Other than that, it's just a cool system. And for car camping or tent camping, that's more than enough light for whatever you're going to need. So let's turn that off, and let's turn on the main function here. And there's your main screen right there. You'll see this it takes a minute to balance itself out. It's got about 80 hours left on it. I did run a few things here beforehand when I started messing around with this. So about 80 hours on it. You got no watts going in. Now, to use that, you've turned it on. Everything up top here will work. Everything but your AC outlets. To use the AC outlets, you're going to have to push the AC button. And if there's no draw on it, it'll turn itself off. So what you're going to do there is hit your AC button. And again, you don't need to hit those hard. You really just kind of put your finger on it and hold. They're not tactile buttons. So, there you go. Now your AC outlets will work. Or you can turn it off and just use your plugs up here. Now, as far as plugs go, let me turn that off. You have two USB plugs here, the 5.3 volt, 3.1 amp. You have the quick charge plug there. And you also have a Type C quick charge plug. You have two 12-volt DC. These are the 3.5 millimeter plugs, 5.5 millimeter plugs, I'm sorry. And your input is the same. It's a 5.5 millimeter. You have two AC outlets here. And again, you have 200 watts of power here up to a peak of 300. So, if you turn on something and it peaks at 300 or peaks at 250, it'll take care of that no problem. And then it'll go back down to 200. You would be amazed at how many devices this will power. Is it going to power your hairdryer or your toaster? No. But it will power a ton of other devices. And if your main goal is maybe keeping a little refrigerator running and keeping your stuff charged up, this is the unit for you. You also will notice here a cigarette lighter plug. And we are going to test all this stuff out, so I'll give you a minute to look at it. So all in all, it's a pretty nice little unit. You have 3 ways to charge it. This comes with an input charger there with the cigarette lighter plug, so you can use your cigarette lighter plug, and it comes with one in your car and charge it through there in the input. Now I would recommend that you do that while the car is running. This will kill your battery if you just leave it in there with the car off. You want that alternator working, charging the battery in the car to charge this. You also have a wall DC charger here. I'm sorry, AC charger. And it will charge off of any 50 to 100 watt 18 volt solar panel. Now I say 18 volts and people are like, what's that? Generally 12 volt panels will go to about 18 if they're quality decent solar panels. And we are going to give this a shot on that too. I got another solar panel out here that we're going to plug into it and just kind of leave in the front there to see how well it does. It's not an optimal sun day today. It has been very cold and overcast here. Kind of rainy, kind of snowy. Yeah, it does snow in the desert. So, you know, you're not going to get super performance out of it, but you'll be able to see that, yes, in fact, it does work. So, the AC outputs are pure sine wave, okay? Now, a lot of people will say, well, what's the difference between pure sine wave and modified? Does it really matter? Yeah, you know, I mean, to some extent, yes, it does. If you're using sensitive electronics, you want a pure sine wave inverter. It will allow you to provide stable power to a wide range of powered devices, from TVs, projectors, things like that. 200 watts and under, pure sine wave inverters are capable of producing cleaner, smoother, quieter, and more reliable electricity to operate appliances and electronics without interference. In other words, if you're going to plug in a shortwave radio or an HF radio or something into this, definitely what you'd want. Any kind of sensitive electronics, even laptops, will benefit from a nice pure sine wave inverter. Now, how do you find out if this fits your needs? How do you find out if this is going to be enough power for you? Well, the first thing you're going to do is check your devices. See how much power they draw. Then you calculate really simply. For example, if your power is 30 watts and the charging time would be 555 watts, so 30 watts would be 18.5 hours. If the power is 50 watts on the device you want to use and the charging time is 555 watts per, your 50 watt time would be 11.1 hours. So you kind of can decide if your solar panel and your charging and what you're drawing in devices is going to be adequate for this device. Honestly, you really don't need to do the math on that too much. If you just want to charge your tablets, your cell phones, maybe run a little radio in the background, this thing's perfect. We are going to test it out with a small fridge that I have, so we're going to try that and give it a shot. But all in all, so far, I'm liking the unit. It really does what it says it does. So the first thing I want to do is put the solar panel outside. I have a 60 watt solar panel. We're going to plug it in and see, hopefully it'll reach here, otherwise I may have to move it that way. And we're going to try it and see how well it works. All right, so I had to move it over here because the cord is long, but it's not that long. So you can see I'm getting 5 watts in right now. It's not in a terribly sunny place right now. The sun is rising, so I'm facing the opposite way. But all in all, I just wanted to put it outside to give you an idea of what it will look like. You'll be able to tell how much watts you're pulling in, and you'll be able to see the approximate charge state of the battery. You're almost all the way up there. I'm going to give you a quick look at the solar panel. It's just a Paxos 60 watt panel. Quickly here, let me turn everything around. And there's where it is. It does look like it's in the blazing sun, but trust me, it's not. If I were to face it the other way, you'd probably have a little bit more. But for the demo of this video, for the purposes of this video and demoing it, that's perfectly fine, just to let you see what it looks like. So anyway, that's how you will charge it. And think about it, you can put that outside of your tent or outside of a bug-out bag, outside of a bug-out vehicle. You know, in an emergency, you can stick this outside of your house. Even if you live in an apartment that has a terrace or a big window, you can put that solar panel in a window and charge up your device. So that's pretty darn cool to have. You know, there are other ways to charge it, of course, plugging it in, turning it into a cigarette lighter. But all in all, definitely a cool item. Definitely a cool way to charge, too. So let's get back to the table here, back over this way, and we'll try out some devices on it and see how it holds up. All right, so I've got some devices that we are going to power up here. We're going to charge or power up. The first thing I'm charging is my tablet. Okay. The second thing is this small little Baofeng 440 radio. This thing still works very, very well, and really like it. Handy to have out here if I want to make a call on the local repeater. We're going to plug these into the USB, but first we're going to turn it on. There you go. Okay. Now, when you plug it into the USB, you will immediately see a USB sign there, showing that it's working. And there goes that. See the little USB signal. I'll pull you in closer to get a good look at everything when it's running. So there's your USB devices. These are both charging. I don't know if you can see the little battery icon in this thing moving up and down. And that made its little noise, so it's charging. Now, next up, what we want to do is turn on the AC power. We're going to plug this little mini fridge in to try it out. I know it does about 45 watts or so, so you'll be able to see. Right now, I've got 1 watt going out with these two devices. That's good for 85 hours of charging, just those two devices. So that's pretty impressive. Let's plug this in. First, let's turn on the AC power. There you go. And there's your AC blinking there. And we plug that in. Now you see it's going to drop. We're up to about 44, 47, 50. There you go. And this is running. I don't know if you can hear it. The fan's running in the back. Lights on. There you go. So that's running there. Now let's really try and see how much this can do. I'm going to plug the fan into the DC, the little DC car plug there. And I'm going to try and turn it away from you so you don't get the wind noise. But there's the fan. So the fan's running on high. We're pulling a total of 61 watts here. And that will give me 4 hours with all this stuff running for 4 hours. Now, if I want to say, turn off the fan, okay? Let's kill the fan. And let's kill these. Take out charging on these. You're still going to have 4 hours at 52, 54, well 5 hours actually, to run your fridge. Now for short-term power outages, that's really handy. The next question is going to be pass-through power. Do the AC outlets work while it's being charged? And that would be no, they don't. In most units, they don't. It's kind of more of a built-in protection. However, if you are charging, your DC stuff works. This does have a plug for DC, so I could plug this in, use the cigarette lighter plug, and still be charging my my power bank from an outside solar panel. So you do have that option, and it is kind of cool. I'm definitely liking this whole thing. I think it's going to live outside here when I need some power. It's nice to have another power source because I only have so many plugs out here. Obviously, this room wasn't set up to be a YouTube studio, so I only have so many plugs at a time. So that's kind of handy to have that. Anyway, that's the unit here. Pretty simple to use. Let me clean up my mess here, and we'll finish up. Alright, so everything's put back away, and I'm just showing you the little light show it puts on. It's kind of a neat thing if you like that. It's handy that it does have lights. It's handy that it does have different color lights, so you can stop it wherever. Like if I like that light right there, I can stop it. On that, you can't really see it on camera, but it's kind of a pinkish, orangish. Or I can keep it going if I want, and it can keep changing colors. So that's kind of a neat feature. I'll show you what you get inside. Of course, you're going to get your 12-volt cigarette lighter adapter to charge it with, and your wall plug to charge it with. Whoops! And I'll start throwing stuff around now. There we go. And you're going to get a manual, and the manual is actually pretty good. It actually gives you lots of information. It's written well. It's not written, so you can't understand it. Fairly simple to use. The cooling fan on the back will turn on when you need it to. Once this gets to a certain thing, it's got its temperature protection, so it will turn itself on. It also has short circuit protection and over voltage protection. So if you're putting in, like, say, 21 to 21.5 volts, it will turn itself off. It does have one 30-amp fuse inside, and I believe it's a bunch of batteries in there. So that's about how it works. It's a fairly simple unit to use. Very easy to figure out. There's nothing complicated about it. It is a little bit more pricey than units I've showed in the past, but if you compare this to, say, other units that are out there for 300, 250 watts, it's actually fairly inexpensive. So, and it's definitely well made. I mean, this thing is built like a tank, I gotta say. I don't know if you've seen the underside and everything, but it's definitely very well made, and it definitely has some heft to it. So that is the OKPRO portable power station. You got 200 watts out of it with a peak output of 300. It does have a pure sine wave inverter, and it's got a bunch of built-in protections, so it's a safe unit to use indoors. It's not like having some kind of gas-powered generator that you always have to worry about, where am I going to put it? Can I put it in the garage? Can I put it outside? Very safe, simple, easy to use, and for small areas, definitely a cool thing. So I will put a link down below to where you can pick this up. You will see it down there in the description box, as well as my Amazon affiliate store. I try to put everything that I review in that store, so check it out. I have a couple of new sections in the store, so you might want to check it out and see what's there. You can click on the new prepper products or the influencers, and that's where all of my products are in there. So you can check them out there. I want to point you to the Thrive Life link as well. If you guys are interested in getting stocked up on food, given the crises that we see on the horizon, I think now is a good time to get stocked up on food. And the rest of my 3 links will help you with My Patriot Supply, which is preparewithiridium.com, and the Thrive Life as well. So check those out. Thanks for watching, folks. Stay safe and stay prepared.